Hi, welcome to the episode of Utah Crossbow Hunter, and you're reading that right. We're going to talk about crossbow forms. And when I say talk about it, we're going to answer some questions. So, with that said, remember, hit that subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe or the share button with your family and friends and your worst enemy, and also leave me a comment. I greatly appreciate it when I get those. Okay, so we're going to talk about some crossbow forms. There's multiple crossbow forms. Okay, so on Facebook, so we got Crossbow Fantastics, Excalibur, American Crossbow Hunters, Centerpoint, Crossbow Equipment for Sale, Crossbow Nation, hunting crossbow groups, all things bear hunting. So it's just a few that I have. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but that's just the ones that I have right now. And if you got any that you're associated with, put in the comments below and we'll bring it up. Because what I'm going to start doing probably looks like maybe once a week. Don't know what days yet or anything like that. I'm just starting this where I'm going to pick out one or two questions that I see as the most popular questions. And I want to try and answer them the best of my ability that I can do for you. So without any further ado, let's talk about the first two that I see quite frequently. Okay? So the first question is, I just bought a new crossbow. What kind of arrow should I use? Very common question. So let's just kind of, I'm not going to go deep into these, but if you want me to, I will go deep into these. Okay. So what kind, I just bought a new crossbow. What kind of arrow should I use? Okay. So manufacturers, when they do a crossbow, if you look at the label, it says up to speed XXX. Okay. That's what they put on there. So 400 feet per second, 350, 370, 425, whatever. Okay. Those are using what I'm going to call light arrows. Okay. That's how they achieve that speed with those arrows. They don't use heavy arrows. They don't use medium arrows. They use light arrows. Okay. So, you know, but the thing is, you want to find an arrow that fits your shooting style. Okay? Your shooting style. You can sit here and ask everybody out here in the world, what's their favorite arrow? Pile driver, center point, black eagle, gold tip. So, you know, and multiple more out there. But the weight, you want to look at the weight. Okay, so when they say weight, read the fine print. It may say 400 grains with a 100 grain tip. So that makes it a 300 grain arrow. Or they may say it's a 500 grain arrow when it's actually a 400, grain arrow. So you want to be careful of that. The best thing I can tell you, and I know you're going to say, but they're all expensive. Yes, they are. No doubt about that, they are expensive. But you want to buy maybe 2 or 3 brands of arrows at different weights. And you use 100 grain tip, 125 grain tip, 150 grain tip, whatever grain tip you want to use, okay, to practice with. But you also got to keep in mind, and I'm not going to go into broadheads right now. We'll talk about those in a later episode because that is another common question to ask. But you want to find a broadhead that fits your shooting style, whether it be a fixed blade or a mechanical blade. Yeah. So again, I'm not going to go into that, okay? So you want to find one that fits your shooting style. Everybody has their own type of shooting style, okay? Don't get a too light of an arrow, okay? If you get too light of an arrow, yes, it says it has plenty of energy and all that kind of good stuff to it. But get too light of an arrow, you could have problems. And we'll talk about that problem in just a couple of minutes or so. But you don't want to get too light of an arrow. Okay, you want to get an arrow that is .001. Okay, 001. 0.003, 0.005, you're okay. But, and I don't think I have it out here anywhere. I think I do not. Let me see if it's my drugstore or up and down here. I know I have it. Okay. I don't have it here. Oh man. But anyways, it's called a spinner. You want to get a spinner because if you get those 003s, those 005s, or any, let's say, you decide you want to go with a China or whatever made arrow, you want to make sure that the arrows are straight. So that's why you want to do a spin test on them. And you can find spinners all over the on YouTube, stuff about spinners. But just a cheap one, that's all you need. You don't need an expensive spinner, but you need to have one. And like I said, I got one here somewhere. I did a lot of cleaning and rearranging of stuff. Don't know where I put it, but it's around here somewhere. So again, the straightest arrow that you can get. So another question I see quite frequently: I just broke a limb on my crossbow. That's common, very common. And unfortunately, is there anything you can do about it? Yes, there is. Okay. But first, it could be a manufacturer's defect. That happens. They make this stuff in bulk with their fiber or whatever they do to make it, to make the crossbow limbs. It may have had an air bubble in it. It may have had just something going on with the batch. Okay, because they keep batches. That's what they do. They make batches. So how do we, what's one of the ways that we can stop a crossbow limb breakage? The heaviest arrow your crossbow can handle. That's going to be the best way. Because what it does, the heavier the arrow, the more energy is being transferred from the limbs to that arrow. The lighter the arrow, more energy is being dispersed to the limbs. And that's why limbs could break, because your arrow is too light. Okay? They might be fine for competition, or they want the faster arrow that basically flies straight. Okay, that's more of a but for hunting, depending on what you're going after, okay, let's say you're going after an elk. Okay, you might want to use 500 plus grain arrow. Going after a deer, you might want to use a 400 grain plus. You know, so it depends. But bear, you probably go 450-ish, 400 still. You know, but that depends on you. Okay, what your crossbow can handle. Okay, I have the Wicked Ridge NXT 400, and it shoots my 531 grain arrows at 336 feet per second. And I think my slugs are 7, 8 or something like that, and my kinetic energy is 135. So that's gonna blow right through it, pretty much anything probably, except maybe an elephant, but I don't see any wild elephants around here. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind, just the type of arrow that you want. And again, you got to be careful too. The 10-point Wicked Ridge line have a different tip, or I should say knock. As you can see here, I put this one up here. It's a deeper knock and it's more angled down. Okay, some just most of the common ones are just a regular knock or a flat knock. So you got to make sure the knock of your crossbow. Okay, because you're probably going to put lighted knocks on them. So you got to be careful of that. I'm still waiting for 10-point to let me know when they're releasing the lighted knocks on these. But I have the zombie the zombie arrows from WYVERN. I'll talk about those here in just a moment. Okay. And also remember, over distance, your speeds will drop. Okay. But again, I got a lot of videos out there on it. You're more than happy to go back and look at them. I'll post a few of them up here about what I just did on speed and all that kind of stuff. But the speeds will drop, and I'll put this in my link again. This is Death by Bunjie, an old grumpy hunter project that they did on different calculators for crossbows. So if you want to find out your crossbow speed, and you want to find out what's the best weight, they got that kind of a calculator in here. You got distance drop here, sighting in your crossbow, drop, and just a lot of, and this one here could the efficient crossbow arrow weight calculator. Mouthful right there. And then they got the arrow weight change calculator, a whole bunch of calculators here. It's an excellent source to start looking for what type of arrow that you might need. Okay. So those are excellent sources for that. WYVERN Creations, the arrows that I got are the WYVERN 500 grain 10-point arrows. But I remember the arrow itself is 400 grains. The tip is another 100 grains. The tip comes, so it's a little over 500 grains. It's like 502 or something like that. Arrow length, you got your 20-inch and your 16-inch. So you got to be careful which one of those you get. But this one here is the 500 grain 10-point arrows that I have. Let's see. They have mission. They got some missions. They got some ravens. They got some Syncopede, Excalibur, and Wicked Ridge. So again, they have various types, because here's the lighted knock for the 10 point, for the blaze, which is different than the alpha knock here. But again, we're not talking about knocks. So yeah, so that's what I got for you guys right now. I hope you got something out of it. I mean, it's all going to be your preference on what you want. It's great to ask questions. By all means, ask questions so you can get an idea. Don't just take somebody's word that the gold tip arrow is the best arrow out there and you can't get any better than that. It's up to you. Okay, I have some gold tip arrows. I like the gold tip arrows, but they don't fit in this crossbow here. Okay, and they're not as heavy as these zombies that I have. So like I said, this is just a start. I'm probably going to do one a week. Pick out, a few questions and go from there. But I think this is going to be a pretty neat thing. And again, if you got any questions, please hit me up in the comments or shoot me an email. So with that said, remember, family first. Take care of your family. By all means, get out there and hunt. And see you on the next episode of Utah Crossbow Hunter. And remember, these episodes are dedicated to my son. And thank you for watching.